So much for 50 subscribers on YouTube. As promised, I was going to do a little Q&A to answer any questions that you might have, and I got a question in from Taylor, the Weaving Traveler. Taylor is literally one of the biggest supporters of this channel and is so amazing. We met in person, and they're also a reader and a amazing crochet artist and just an incredible person. So thank you so much for always supporting my channel and sharing so much of your love with me. Your question, Taylor's question was, how did I learn to accept help from others, and what does that look like for me? I love this question because I talk so much about hyperindependence, and if you search Becoming Enough podcast and hyperindependence, you will find that I've done multiple episodes on it. So if you're also struggling with that, those could be really helpful and really validating for you. For me, it was so incremental. It was the slowest little bit of change over the longest period of time. And I do have some helpful things to share, but the first thing I wanted to say is just like, don't feel guilty, right? We don't realize as Black sheep how much of our entire development has been behind until we start trying to catch up. Then we see the gap between us and everyone else had these, not everyone else, but a lot of other people have had these friendships, or they've had, their parents teach them how to have friendships. Their parents themselves have been trusting and trustworthy, even having sibling relationships that were positive instead of being pitted against one another as siblings, right? So all of that over time, especially at a developmental age, is going to change the entire foundation of your life. And for us, we missed out on those developmental markers at the appropriate time. So we're hardwired in a lot of ways to feel like we can only trust ourselves. And because we can only trust ourselves, we only depend on ourselves, right? And that is what hyperindependence is in a nutshell, right? It is not allowing anyone in. So because this change happened so slowly, I just want to say, don't feel guilty for the time that it's taking for you to make these changes. They are going to take time, and the biggest thing you can do to create sustainable change and to, in a sense, quicken that time is not really focus on the time, but actually regulating your nervous system, right? And finding one person in your life who is safe around you. It could even be an animal that you start with, right? But don't lose that progress. So what I mean is, for me, my one person was actually my partner. We met 10 years ago. And even when we were friends before we started dating, like, we just clicked and I just kind of felt safe. And that is what eventually led me to wanting to be with this person, right? It was that sense of safety. But even then, like, for years in our relationship, it was hard for me to depend on him. I still had to do everything myself. I didn't know how to feel safe around someone else, and even how to be vulnerable. So I would say, if you have one person in your life that you can open up to, allow yourself to do that little by little, right? And this is not like, be really aware that you're not overly attaching yourself to that person, because that is something that we also do a lot as Black sheep, is that we over attach to certain people and then we feel even more betrayed or hurt, but that person may just want space and may just want boundaries, right? We can't look at anyone else in our life to fix our problems. And if that is what you're doing, that's already part of the issue. No one else is going to be there for you more than you can. And if someone else was putting the weight on you to fix their whole life, to fix all their problems, to be there for every single thing that happened, it would put so much pressure on you that ultimately it would push you away. And this is also how the pattern of self-sabotage works. We overly rely on people, we overly fixate on like that one person that we put on a pedestal, and then we end up pushing them away, and then we prove to ourselves mentally, oh, people just want to be pushed away. But we're also not seeing the full cycle of it. We're not seeing our full role in it, right? So you do have to have a healthy sense of boundaries. And I feel like that can be really difficult when you haven't been in a lot of healthy relationships or friendships. Learning to accept help from others, like I said, happened with one person at a time. And allowing that to happen in little ways that feel safe to you is also important. So for me, it was even like friends flaking on me would really trigger me. But when I was able to have friends actually show up, that was so small, but it really made a big difference in me being able to trust them, right? It's almost like every invitation that you have, let's say to hang out with someone after they agree to making the plan, that is a little bid on your part to make this connection with someone. If they show up, that is a little piece of information saying, okay, I think I can kind of, I can begin to trust this person. Being able to share maybe some small piece about yourself, a small story, and then kind of seeing how they react to that. And don't overshare. Don't tell someone your entire life story when you've barely met them, because again, that's part of what pushes people away. The change comes incrementally, and focus on these little small bids, but don't overshare. Don't put everything into another person assuming that you'll get the same in return. That was a really, really hard lesson for me, because as a Black sheep, all I wanted was connection. All I wanted was to connect with people and to finally feel understood. But the thing is, that deepest connection that you're going to have is with yourself. And as you become that safe space for yourself, that safe space for your own boundaries, as you begin to enforce your boundaries and understand yourself and understand what it is that you need from other people, that is what is going to slowly allow you to be able to cross the bridge and be that way with other people too, right? So the healing of the self and the healing with people around you has to kind of work together, but you have to have your own back more than anyone else. And that's really the most important thing, because for me, I used to self-sacrifice and people please like no one's business, and it did nothing for me, and it broke my heart when I realized that these people didn't have my back. So you have to measure how much of yourself you're putting into these relationships, and not in a transactional way, but it is important to bring that into balance and to kind of check yourself and make sure you're not running to the end of a finish line before you even get started, right? That's something I used to do a lot. And by not doing that, it's really allowed me to pace my relationships and also make sure that I'm using my discernment as well. Like I've noticed later on as I began to heal, when people were jealous of me, when people were giving me like backhanded compliments and being rude, when they were trying to insult me, when they were putting me down, I would honestly expect that at an earlier age, because that's how my family treated me and that's just what I was used to. And also, I didn't know that I could stand up for myself. I had no self-worth. I didn't know that those things actually weren't true. Anything someone said about me, I used to just accept it and think it was true. And like, being able to even just work on my own self-concept and being able to pace myself in these relationships really helped bridge that gap. Okay, the second part of this question is, what does it look like for me when I ask people for help, right? And I realized that because of the nature of pacing myself in these relationships and in these friendships, just the passing of time has shown me that there is reciprocity there, right? I've had friends show up for me and I've showed up for them. I've inconvenienced myself to show up for my friends. I have not been a perfect friend, but I know I'm a good listener. I know I'm always there for my friends when they need me. And I have begun to offer up information about myself as well because I trust them. Something that I realized as a Black sheep is that we are so secretive. And like, I don't know if this is especially me because I do have 3 Scorpio placements. So I think I naturally am this way without trying to be. A lot of the times we just are used to repressing our feelings and shutting ourselves down, right? A friend might ask you how you are, but you're afraid to say that you're struggling. And so you're just kind of push things down and say you're okay, and maybe this week was kind of hard or kind of weird, but you'll get through it. And like, even saying I'll get through it, I'll make it, I'll be okay, like those are good things, but that's also hyper independence in itself. You're basically saying in this conversation between you and one friend, I'll get through it, I'll be okay, I'll be okay, instead of saying like, I'm struggling and maybe I just need help. Like, sometimes you can just say that, right? Having just even one person or 2 people around you can be really helpful in this process when you can trust them. And if you can't, that's when it's also really helpful to talk to someone, talk to a therapist, talk to a coach if you feel like that's right for you. You can talk to a hotline, right? You can call a hotline in an emergency situation. Like, there are resources out there, but part of it is believing that there are resources. Part of it is believing that the universe, your guides, do want you to make it through this. You will make it through this. You will find your power back. So in knowing that, it's like, okay, We all have needed help sometimes. There are more people in the world who can relate to struggles that you've had than people who have never been through anything in their lives, right? So know that people are willing to empathize. Know that people are willing to care for you and extend things to you. And if you feel like you can't see that immediately in yourself, start looking around you to see, like, where are examples of people receiving help all around me? And right now we're seeing that everywhere, right? But look around in your daily life. Go outside and ask the universe to show you that it's safe to receive help, right? That might be directly to you. That just might be you observing, someone helping someone else across the street, or someone helping someone else, carry their groceries. I don't know. These are just random examples, but it really does exist. And as I started to develop trust in my friendships and in my relationships, I started to open up and see how much my community is there for me, how much, like, just people in my day-to-day life are there to help me, are there to offer some sort of assistance. Like, my car broke down years ago on an uphill. I was just there with my partner. I'm trying to steer around this corner. My partner's trying to push my car uphill by himself. Like, everyone stopped at a green light, got out of their cars, complete strangers, and helped push my car around the corner. Like, I know these are random examples, but people do have a tendency within themselves to want to help. And I know that we've been tainted by being around people who don't reflect that and don't show that. But the first step is accepting that that is true somewhere in the world. You can even accept that that's true for someone else, but not yourself. And slowly, gradually build these limiting beliefs up to the level where you can fully, safely in your body believe that people want to help you as well. What does allowing people to help me look like? It looks like, I have a personal trainer now, and I probably won't have one forever, but we've actually developed like a pretty good relationship. And one of the things that I decided to do was, like, I'm not going to hide any part of me. Even thinking, like, if I share about my business or my personal life, I'm going to be judged. Like, that's been a fear that's followed me for years and years and years of my life. I would hold that information back, like I was saying earlier, because I just didn't know what people would say, and I couldn't deal with any more judgment. I couldn't deal with any more criticism. But recently I've been like, you know what? I'm so used to people not liking me. Like, who even cares anymore? And because I do have a few people in my life who genuinely care about me, who love me, I'm fine. I have what I need, and I'll be able to make it if a stranger doesn't like me. But by me actually sharing a little bit about myself throughout our sessions, I've also learned that we're actually very similar. Someone who I never thought would be similar to me. We have a lot in common. And on top of that, I've been really vulnerable in these personal training sessions. Like, I'm building my strength right now, and I am not as strong as I'd like to be, but like, he hasn't judged me for that. Like, this is his job, is to help people get stronger. And I just have stopped judging myself. And because I've stopped judging myself, I've stopped projecting that other people are going to judge me too. And it's a lot easier to ask for help when you don't assume that other people are judging you, when you are not projecting that judgment outside as well. There is such a separation that comes from judgment, and even from judgment of ourselves or shaming ourselves. We feel like we have to keep ourselves hidden, like this little secret, because everything about us is going to be shamed, right? Or judged. And by allowing yourself to be who you are and not feel like you have to sacrifice yourself for anyone, not feel like you have to judge yourself, or shame yourself for who you are, that actually allows you to not just bond with other people, but accept help from other people as well. I hope that was helpful. I don't know if you have follow-up questions. So if you do, Taylor, or if anyone who's watching this has follow-up questions, please drop them in the comments below. If you have other questions you want me to answer that are not related to this topic, please also leave them in the comments below. I love doing Q&As. I hope that this wasn't too all over the place. There was just a lot to touch on in this. I also know that Taylor's been going through a little bit of a hard time, so if anyone else is watching this and would like to support a fellow community member just by showing some love in the comments below, I'm sure they would really appreciate that. And yeah, I'm sending you all so much love. Remember to like and subscribe for more, and remember that you're worthy whether you believe it or not.